Hi guys, and welcome to the Watch Lobby. Today we have part 2 of this Rolex Datejust mega review series. In part 1 we saw a review of a lady's Rolex Datejust 28, the reference 279173. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. On hand for this video we have another piece that I gratefully borrowed, being the Rolex Datejust 41, reference 126300. In Rolex's oyster steel with arguably my favourite Datejust style, the slate grey dial, often referred to as the Wimbledon. If I were to be looking for a Datejust, this would be high on my hit list, potentially with a Jubilee bracelet and white gold fluted bezel. It is such an understated Rolex in its current configuration, and it really goes under the radar to most. The Datejust over time has followed sizing trends, and I feel the Datejust 41 seems to be the preference of most men these days. After some proportion adjustments following the short run of the Datejust 2 from 2009 to 2016, where we saw the introduction of the Datejust 41. Taking my own measurements, here is what this Wimbledon dial Datejust 41 came in at. Measured diagonally, coming in at 40.5mm. Measured horizontally to include the crown, it came in at 42.2mm. A lug to lug of 46.4mm. However, the solid end links does protrude further, so measuring the furthest extremity, including the end links, this came in at 50.4mm, with a thickness of 11.6mm and a lug width of 20mm. Sized up with one additional link, this weighs in at 136 grams. All in all, very modern and wearable measurements. I personally think these measurements have caught the eye of the younger guys looking to buy their first Rolex. The configuration we see here is in full oyster steel, meaning case, bezel and bracelet are all stainless steel. Starting with the case, we have polished lug hoods and sides. As we take a look from the 3 o'clock side, we see a steel twin lock crown signified by the line located under the crown logo on the crown. The twin lock crown gives the Datejust 100 meters or 330 feet of water resistance. Moving up from the case, we have a high polished steel bezel, which as you can see from standard wear is an absolute scratch magnet. The case is topped off by a sapphire crystal with the ever so iconic Cyclops date magnifier at 3 o'clock. Like all modern Rolexes, in the right light and angle, you'll be able to see a laser etched coronet in the crystal at 6. Looking through the crystal, we see what is my favourite feature of this piece, that slate grey dial. A sunray grey dial with printed black Roman numerals surrounded by that iconic Rolex green. We have a date at 3 and oddly one single rectangular white gold hour marker at 9 filled with chromolite. I dare say it's there to create symmetry on the dial, balancing out the white date wheel. At 12 o'clock we see an applied white gold coronet, and under that in white text the words Rolex Oyster Perpetual Datejust, and at 6 the words Superlative Chronometer Officially Certified, with the word Swiss made under the printed 6 o'clock hour marker. Tying everything together like all other modern Rolexes, we have the engraved Rehort running the entire way around the dial with the inscriptions of Rolex, Rolex, Rolex and the serial number at 6. Flipping the Datejust over, we have the iconic blank caseback, which we again see on all Rolex models. Nothing overly exciting on the back as expected. Under the caseback is where we'll find the in-house caliber 3235 automatic movement, coming in with an accuracy of plus or minus 2 seconds a day, beating at 28,800 beats per hour with a 70-hour power reserve. A true workhorse movement which we'll see amongst several other Rolex models. Moving on to the bracelet, we have Rolex's Oyster bracelet with polished center links being flanked by brushed outer links. A super comfortable bracelet on wrist, really only to be beaten in comfort by the Jubilee in my opinion. The bracelet has 5mm of taper, starting from 20mm down to the last link at 15mm, with the clasp itself coming in at 17.5mm. Tucked away nicely in the clasp is Rolex's Easy Link extension. so when sized up for any wrist, giving the wearer the ability to extend the bracelet by 5mm on the fly. Now, something I will continue saying whenever I make a Rolex review video. One of my favourite features on any Rolex, and something that goes unrecognised by most, which is the clasp itself. The finishing on the underside of the clasp is absolutely brilliant. Here, like on all other Rolexes, we see perfectly curved and smoothed off edges which leave no sharp bits to dig into your skin while wearing. I'll continue to praise this aspect of any Rolex watch, as it's the small details that truly elevate the wearer's comfort on wrist, and more manufacturers should be taking note. As you can see though, most if not all of the polished aspects of the Datejust 41 have hairline scratches. Nothing major, but it's something to note when purchasing this piece, or any other piece with a high number of polished faces. This piece has been worn in rotation for the last 3 years, so I'll expect to see similar hairline scratches after wearing it. For my final feedback on the Rolex Datejust 126300. Objectively, it is a piece that is expected is made to Rolex's standard for fit and finish. An overall piece that really can do anything you throw at it. Dress it up in a suit and tie, dress it down casually with shorts and a tee. It's the perfect balance of formal and casual, with all those polished edges helping it dress up, and those brushed outer links on the bracelet tying it in with the casual attire, and that dial coming right down the middle. Subjectively, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I think I'd prefer this on an oyster steel Jubilee bracelet with a white gold fluted bezel. However, those two features I would say would push this piece more to a dress style of watch rather than a perfect all-rounder. One thing that I'm not completely sold on is that one loomed indice on the dial. It's not a deal breaker, but I feel like something different could have been done there. Let me know what you think of the Datejust 41 in oyster steel down below in the comments, and what's your take on the dial? I feel this may make the perfect one watch Rolex collection. Count me out for that though, because one watch is not enough. As you may already know, this is the second of a series of Datejust videos being released. In the first video, we checked out the ladies Datejust 28 in two-tone, oyster steel and yellow gold. Feel free to check that one out as well. There is a part 3 due to come out, so stay tuned for that one. If you don't want to miss out on that video or any of my other videos, it would be greatly appreciated if you could like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned as we run through this crazy world of watches. With all that said and done, we've come to the end of another video. Like always, thank you for watching and stay safe.